Welcome into our LA studios alongside Stephen A. Smith, Bob Myers, Kendrick Perkins. I'm Malika Andrews. The Cavaliers, they have put themselves in the championship conversation with their strong regular season. They have 3 win streaks of at least 12 games this year, and we're going to show you just how good they are, right? This is including their current run where they have won 13 in a row, going for 14 tonight. The Cavaliers, they're the second team to do that in NBA history, joining the 2006-07 Mavericks. Now, this success, it comes in large part thanks to an offense where they rank first in NBA offensive efficiency and points per game. Their outside shooting, it helps here as well. The Cavaliers, they lead in three-point field goal percentage. Another key aspect has been their late game situation execution. Cleveland is 21-6 in clutch time games this season, which is when the score is within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. That's the best record in the NBA. And Stephen A., it feels like we knew the foundation was there, but to you, what's the biggest reason that Cleveland has been able to take this leap this year?
Well, Coach Atkinson has done a phenomenal job. He's raised Evan Mobley's level of play. He's averaging 18 points a game. You got to give credit where credit's due. Plus, he's improved his three-point shooting. They are undefeated with DeAndre Hunter. They're 11-0 with this guy since he's arrived from Atlanta. He's shooting about 53% from the three-point range. This brother he's been flat out balling, and Donovan Mitchell is just a star. It's just that simple. He's bona fide. He's legit. Make no mistake about it. This size, the athleticism, the ability to shoot, the ability to defend. I can't say enough about what I've seen from Cleveland this year. They're the #1 threat to the Boston Celtics, as I've said repeatedly over the weeks.
We pay a lot of attention to the marquee guys, as we should, right? The stars. And we might say, who's Cleveland's 2 best players? Would you say Garland and Mitchell? Maybe not.
Maybe not. Could be Mobley.
They kind of have that core 4.
That's my point. I mean, so you look at Milwaukee, and out of Giannis and Lillard, they're extremely good, right? No doubt about it. But then after that, this is where I see the difference between the Cavs, and they're 53-10, and the Bucks 36-26. It's Mobley, Allen, and now Hunter, like Stephen A. said, 11-0. They're 2 through 5, 2 through 6. Even Ty Jerome's having a great year, and the fact they're shooting it so well. You'd think the gap wouldn't be this big, but it is this big, and we call these guys, Perk and I were saying, role players. They're not. Jared Allen is not a role player. Evan Mobley is certainly not a role player. And then you look at what the drop-off is, and I like Brook Lopez, I like Kyle Kuzma, I like Corey Perry. It's just not the same level as some of these Cavs guys.
Well, we'll see an example, an appetizer of that today, because I got the Bucks winning that game, but we'll dive into that later. The most important player on this Cavs roster is Evan Mobley, right? Donovan Mitchell is the best player. He's the star. I get that. DeAndre Hunter, he's had an impact, him and Ty Jerome. But this success is going to be on the back of Evan Mobley, how far this team goes, right? When you think about how versatile he is, one can make the argument that right behind Giannis Antetokounmpo, he just might be the second best power forward in the game for what he could bring on both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
And he's up for winning Defensive Player of the Year. His versatility, being able to switch 1 through 5, being able to go to post-ups and utilize the mismatches. Like, we didn't talk about that a lot in that Boston game when they played the Celtics about a week ago. Hey, when they put a smaller guy on them, Evan Mobley rolled to the basket and he punished them. Now he's shooting a 3. Over these last few games, he's been averaging 20, shooting over 58%. He is the X factor. And if they're going to beat the Boston Celtics and make it to the NBA Finals, it's going to be on the back of Evan Mobley.
Well, here's the deal. Here's why I respectfully disagree with you, even though your breakdown was sublime. There's no loss. There's no loss at all. I'm winning. I'm right here with you. I think I'm winning. Here's the deal. Here's the deal right now. When you brought up what you brought up about Evan Mobley, you're not wrong. But they still felt the need after having him, watching him produce the way that he produced. They still felt compelled to go out and get Hunter. Why? Because they recognized it wasn't enough. I'm not saying Evan Mobley doesn't have to do that, what you said he's going to do. I'm saying he's not the key, because who you are and what you have, the reality is that you still felt compelled to go out and get that additional help, because you knew with Mobley, with Allen, with Garland, with Mitchell, it still wasn't going to be enough. You had to get that other guy. So I'm not saying that Mobley doesn't need to do what you said. I'm saying Hunter has to do what he's been doing since he's arrived in order for Cleveland to come out of the Eastern Conference.
Well, they did that right to load up and contend with the wings that the Boston Celtics have. It doesn't mean that Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell himself has said it, Evan Mobley is the key to this engine to make them go, but they particularly were looking at a position discrepancy that they needed to address.
Well, if you have a position discrepancy, then that would mean that there's a key that's somewhere else. No. Am I right?
Well, look, I like the fact that they could have stood pat, right? They had a great record at the deadline. Yeah. They weren't desperate.
They started off 15-0 of the season.
That's right. And then they said, we have to if we're trying to win a championship, which is, I think, what they're trying to do, they say we're not good enough. A lot of teams in that position, they say, we're fine. We've got a great record, best record.
And you know how rare that is, because how many times when you were in the middle of being a top-of-the-list championship contender did you go out and make a midseason trade?
Well, we didn't, Malika.
I mean, how many times? But it doesn't happen very often.
I know what your point is. But their point is they recognized, they were self-aware, and said, for us to get to where we want to go, we're not good enough, even though our record says something else. And you see what Hunter has done for them, and it's tremendous.
Well, it's the most important position in the NBA is the wing position.
Absolutely.
So they had to address that. But, Bob, you know oh so well, when you have a window to actually go out and compete for a title, you got to go for it. You went for it with KD. You know that. So you know how it goes. So they had to address that issue.
I'm on fire. It's NBA,